I have loved porn since I can remember. Porn has been a normal part of my life since I was like 11, 12 years old, up until 6 months ago. So I am currently 6 months free of any pornography of any kind. My name's Noah, by the way. I'm just the guy talking about porn. Before I quit, I think I was looking at porn like 4, 5 days a week. But in the new perspective I have on porn, I was seeking out that sort of thing, seeking out sexual fantasy, probably daily. Just not necessarily all in XXX penetration-driven porn, but in other ways like searching big booty hoes on Instagram. After I got married, it became more of a point of shame. Building up to when I quit, I was watching porn a few times a week. It was very compulsive, and I found that what I was searching was getting inherently more nuanced, more novelty-driven. I would be watching porn, right? Sometimes I'd have like multiple screens going, just crazy shit. Overstimulation. Nothing was quite good enough. I had to find something a little bit better. And then you finish, like you bust, and then you just feel like shit. You're just like, ugh, everything you had on screen just looks really bad. Really bad. It's like, oh, stop. Click, 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 click. You're trying to make it stop. And I think that points to like some sort of red flag within me that I've always kind of inherently known like this can't be quite right. And I didn't talk to my wife about it. It was one of those things that she didn't ask, I didn't tell, and I have learned retrospectively she had no idea how much I was watching porn. So I was watching YouTube, and my recommended list was a TED Talk, Why I Stopped Watching Porn, by Ron Gavrieli, TEDx Jaffa. I'll put a link in the description. This video had 14 million views, and sometimes it catches my eye if a video has a ton of views. I love TED Talks. And I was like, that's interesting. Like, for whatever reason, I was in a place where I wanted to receive that. I wanted to hear his talk on porn. I'd like to tell you that it was purely morality-driven. That part came later. If I'm being completely honest, the part that got my attention the most is when I learned that it could improve my intimacy with my wife. Sexually speaking, even though I feel like I have a very healthy relationship with my wife, I was having trouble being aroused by basic things. Like foreplay was less interesting to me. I wasn't that excited just to see my beautiful wife, who I think is gorgeous, walk around naked. Maybe she's getting out of the shower or something like that. I wouldn't notice as much. I was having to go to spaces mentally that were like dirtier and kinkier and freakier in order to climax. The shit that I think when I watch porn. When he mentioned this in the video that, watching porn can have a negative impact on your ability to have good quality, healthy sex with your partner, I was like, interesting. I've been desensitized. Porn had desensitized me. One thing he brought up in the video is that porn focuses on the act of penetration, the action of penetration. It takes away a lot of the natural aspects of intimacy. Touch, feel, caress, foreplay, kissing, holding, hugging. Things that when you watch porn, you don't care about. I would fast forward right to the action. And so what that started to translate to me over these years that I didn't even know about, when I wanted to have sex with my wife, I wanted to get into the action. I wanted to dominate her. I wanted to fuck her more often than I wanted to make love to her. And that didn't sit well with me. I might not be the best guy, but I'm certainly open to being a better guy. And this video connected with me. And so the first thing I wanted to find out is if I give up porn, am I really going to have a better sex life with my wife? Is it going to make us closer? Is it going to improve our intimacy? I wanted to see if it was something I could accomplish. Another thing is, like, the older I got, the more I realized that, like, the girls I'm watching are just young. They're young. Like, now an 18-year-old looks like a kid to me. And when I was, like, young, like, they're my age. But when you get a little bit older, 18-year-olds, 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds, they're like kids. And so it's like I'm beating off to kids. That's how I started thinking about it. And I kind of wanted that off my brain, too. I was going to try, and I did it in secret. I didn't tell my wife. I didn't tell anybody because I wasn't sure if I'd be able to. I mean, I've always looked at porn, but I gave it up. And I want to be perfectly honest. In the very beginning, first 2, 3, 4 weeks, it was really, really hard. Like, removing it made me realize how reliant I had become on it. I found myself just itching. And I also started realizing that I wasn't just watching it on my computer. I was constantly watching it on my phone. Like, I was just constantly seeking it, getting that release, that addictive dopamine release, I was looking for it, and when it was gone, something felt like it was missing. For a couple weeks, 2, 3, 4 weeks, I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do it because I missed it so much. I was so used to it, and it was so integrated in who I was, and I hadn't started to notice the benefits really at that time. But then the craziest things started happening. Everything this guy said would happen if I gave up porn started to come true. And I couldn't believe it, and I was so thrilled. My wife became that much more beautiful to me, and I've always thought she was beautiful, but I was seeing her in a new light. I couldn't believe how gorgeous she looked. She would smile, and I would get an erection. She'd smile. She would just smile at me, and I would feel intense arousal. Suddenly, I was more interested in her touch and foreplay. Suddenly, she'd get out of the shower and put her on a towel, and I could barely contain my arousal for her. And basically, it made me want to have sex with my wife 24/7, which obviously, if I don't keep that under check, it's not like a great thing because she's human. She needs me to not be a rabbit. But suddenly, I wanted my wife more than I'd ever wanted her before, and I've always wanted her. And that was awesome. That was absolutely awesome. I felt like I was becoming a more in-tune lover. And I had more energy for everything. Every aspect of foreplay, every aspect of touching, of kissing, of scratching her back. Things that I wanted to skip before. Like I wanted to work through those because I was trying to get into the action, the penetration, like I'd been programmed with porn. And I felt a deeper connection with her. And of course, the thing that really made me want to keep going was that we were having the best sex of our lives after I gave up porn. We were having more sex than we'd ever had before after I gave up porn. These are reinforcing qualities of giving up porn that I wasn't taking lightly. And then luckily, after a long time, a couple months, I stopped thinking about porn altogether. Completely. I didn't miss it. I didn't look for it. And in fact, I was turning my head. I found myself turning my head, like on Instagram, if I'm just scrolling through feeds and I saw one of those pictures of a girl in like a thong, I would literally just look away because I just had no interest any longer in seeing that. I wanted to focus on my girl. I liked that suddenly she'd become the center of my sexual desires, the center of my pursuit, my queen, my woman, my life partner. It elevated her in a way that I never knew possible. 6 months later, and I can't imagine ever going back to porn. And some of the benefits that I didn't think about initially, even though I kind of wish I could say I did because it sounds better, were the fact that porn, it's exploiting women, right? And I don't mean like women have a choice to do porn, but if you look at the industry, and I've seen some documentaries since, a lot of the girls that end up in porn, and guys I suppose, but girls is the one I focus on more. They come from pretty troubled environments and harsh situations and trauma, and then they end up in porn, and they're so young, and it's a messy thing, and it messes a lot of them up. And I started to feel more empowered to never go back because of that too. And I want to promote just healthy relationships with my wife and with people, and I want to have a better use of my time, and I want to feel better about myself. And on a sentimental note, I just felt like a better person after I gave up porn. And it's not that I felt like I was better than anyone else, but I felt like the better version of me. Like it's just more in line with values that I decided weren't that important. I normalized porn, and giving it up, just has put me more in line with certain qualities about myself that just made me feel good. Give me a good sense of pride, which is important. And I can't imagine ever going back. On a bad note, it is harder than ever not to have an orgasm now. Now I feel like I'm fucking a kid again because I can barely keep my orgasm in check with my wife who I've slept with a bazillion times, and now every time feels like the first time because I swear I can barely not go. It is I've become so much more sensitive down there. I ended up only having like orgasm and release when I was with my wife, and it made it really powerful. And I wasn't constantly blowing my load alone at home or just when I wasn't with her. Now it was like I was saving all that sexual energy for her, and it made it more special. It just made it better. Plain and simple, just made it better. Can't believe that I don't masturbate anymore, except in the context of being intimate with my wife. That's crazy, right? She suddenly became better than any sexual fantasy that I could ever imagine. And she was always good enough, and I was always attracted to her, and I always thought she was beautiful, and we have always had amazing sex, but it took it to a whole new plane, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and it makes me feel like a better husband. And she's so proud of that, and I'm proud to tell her that I don't do it anymore. It's such a cool thing to be able to say to your person, and that's awesome. So I want to thank her. I want to thank my wife for being okay with me talking about this because it's personal. But I feel like this could help people. And if you're not ready to give up porn, no worries. Do your thing. There's no judgments here. And if you were curious about this, I'll put a link in the description of that TED Talk. It's worth a watch. And then look into it maybe. And if you're in a position to possibly give this a try, see if you might have a similar response that I've had, because it's pretty profound. I can't see myself going back, and I never would have guessed that in a million years. Nobody loved porn more than I love porn, and now I can't imagine ever watching it, which is pretty fucking dope. We'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching. Peace.